The morning sun rose over the Vorakan homeworld, painting the sky in shades of deep orange and purple. Elder Huntmaster Koreth stood at the edge of the great hunting grounds, his silver fur rippling in the cold wind. Behind him, 12 young Vorakan cubs waited with barely contained excitement. Their claws clicked against the rocky ground, their ears twitched at every distant sound. Today was the day they would prove themselves worthy of adulthood. The Vorakan were apex predators. They had ruled their world for 10,000 years. Their bodies were built for killing. 4 powerful legs carried them faster than any prey could run. Their jaws could crush bone like dry twigs. Their eyes could see in perfect darkness. Every cub born to the Vorakan was trained from birth in the sacred art of the hunt. It was their way. It was their identity. A Vorakan who could not hunt was not truly Vorakan at all. Koreth turned to face the young ones. His golden eyes swept over each of them. He saw fear in some, eagerness in others, pride in a few. All of it was acceptable. All of it would be tested in the days to come. "You know why you are here," Koreth said. His voice was deep and commanding. It carried across the wind like thunder. "The first hunt marks your passage into adulthood. You will enter the vast wilderness alone. You will survive on your own skills. You will hunt, kill, and return with proof of your kills. Those who succeed will be welcomed as full members of our pack. Those who fail will be given one more chance. Those who die will be remembered with honor." The cubs straightened their spines. They lifted their heads high. None of them wanted to show weakness. None of them wanted to be the one who failed. "You have 7 rotations," Koreth continued. 7 days and 7 nights in the wilderness. You may not help each other. You may not share kills. This is your test alone. Do you understand? 12 young voices answered as one. "Yes, Elder Huntmaster." Koreth nodded slowly. He stepped aside and pointed toward the vast forest that stretched beyond the rocky plains. The trees there were ancient and massive. Their branches blocked out the sun. Strange creatures lived in that darkness, dangerous creatures, perfect prey for young hunters seeking to prove their worth. "Then go," Koreth commanded, "and may your ancestors guide your claws." The cubs bounded forward. Their powerful legs carried them across the plains at incredible speed. Within moments, they had disappeared into the shadow of the great forest. Koreth watched them go with a mixture of pride and worry. He had overseen 43 first hunts in his long life. He had seen cubs return as proud hunters. He had also seen cubs carried back as broken corpses. The wilderness showed no mercy. It cared nothing for youth or potential. It simply was, and those who entered it either proved themselves worthy or paid the ultimate price. The elder turned and walked back toward the village. 7 days would pass quickly. He would prepare the welcoming feast and hope that most of his students would live to enjoy it. Deep within the forest, the 12 cubs spread out in different directions. They moved carefully now, their excitement tempered by the reality of their situation. The trees here were enormous. Their trunks were wider than 10 Vorakan standing side by side. Strange sounds echoed through the darkness, calls and cries from creatures the cubs had only heard about in stories. A young female named Therix moved through the underbrush with silent grace. Her dark fur blended perfectly with the shadows. She was smaller than the other cubs, but she was faster and smarter. The instructors had always praised her tactical thinking. Now she would put those skills to the test. Not far from Therix, a large male named Vorn crashed through the forest with considerably less subtlety. He was the biggest of the cubs, with muscles that rippled beneath his striped fur. Vorn believed in strength over stealth. He had never needed to be quiet. Prey ran when they saw him coming, and he simply ran faster. The other cubs spread throughout the forest, each following their own instincts, each hunting in their own way. For the first 2 days, things went as expected. They stalked small game. They made kills. They ate their fill and slept in hidden dens. The forest was dangerous, but they were Vorakin. They were born for this. On the 3rd day, everything changed. Therix was tracking a wounded herbivore through a narrow ravine when she heard something strange. It was a sound she had never heard before, a kind of singing, but not like any creature she knew. The sound was rhythmic and oddly pleasant. It made her curious in a way she could not explain. She abandoned her hunt and followed the sound. Her training told her this was foolish. Her instincts screamed at her to focus on the task at hand. But something deeper drove her forward. Something ancient and powerful that she could not name. The sound led her to a small clearing by a stream, and there, sitting on a fallen log, was the strangest creature Therix had ever seen. It was bipedal, standing on 2 legs like some kind of malformed prey animal. Its skin was an odd pinkish color, with no fur at all except for a patch of dark hair on top of its head. It wore some kind of artificial covering over its body, and it was making that strange singing sound while doing something with its hands over a small fire. Therix froze at the edge of the clearing. Every part of her training told her what this was. This was prey. This was an easy kill. This strange, furless creature with its dull teeth and flat nails could not possibly defend itself against a Vorakin hunter. She could kill it in seconds, drag its corpse back to the village, and claim a most unusual trophy. She prepared to pounce. The creature stopped singing. It turned its head and looked directly at her. Their eyes met. Therix expected to see fear. She expected the creature to scream, to run, to panic like all prey did when they saw a Vorakin. Instead, the creature simply smiled. Its lips pulled back to reveal those useless flat teeth, and it raised one hand in some kind of gesture. "Hello there," the creature said. Its voice was strange, but somehow warm. "I was wondering when one of you would find me. Are you hungry? I'm making food if you want some." Therix did not move. She could not move. Nothing in her training had prepared her for this. Prey did not talk to hunters. Prey did not offer food to those who meant to kill them. Prey did not smile. "My name is Marcus," the creature continued. It turned back to its fire and stirred something in a small metal container. "I'm a human. I got a bit lost, I'm afraid. My shuttle had some problems and I had to land on this planet. I've been wandering around for a few days now. It's quite beautiful here, don't you think?" The human called Marcus looked over his shoulder at her again. There was no fear in his eyes, no recognition that he was being hunted. He acted as if Therix was simply another traveler he had met on a path. "You don't have to hide in the bushes," Marcus said kindly. "Come sit by the fire. It's getting cold. And I've made plenty of food. Some kind of vegetable soup, I think. The plants around here are mostly edible for humans, which is lucky." Therix found herself walking forward. She did not know why. Her legs moved on their own. She stopped at the edge of the firelight and stared at this impossible creature. Marcus looked at her with genuine curiosity. "My, you're a magnificent being, aren't you? Those claws look incredibly sharp. And your fur is beautiful. I've never seen a species quite like yours before. Are there others of your kind nearby?" "I am Vorakin," Therix heard herself say. The words came out rough and uncertain. "I am a hunter. You are prey." Marcus considered this for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I suppose, from your perspective, that makes sense. But I'm hoping we can be friends instead. I could use some help finding my way out of this forest, and I don't think eating me would be very satisfying. Humans taste terrible, or so I've been told." He laughed at his own joke. The sound was strange, but not unpleasant. Over the next few hours, something remarkable happened. Therix sat with the human and talked. She had never talked to prey before. She had never considered that prey might have thoughts and feelings and stories of their own. But Marcus had plenty of stories. He told her about Earth, his homeworld far across the galaxy. He told her about human history, about their struggles and triumphs, about the incredible journey that had carried them to the stars. He told her about his own life, his family, his dreams. And somehow, without meaning to, Therix found herself telling him about the first hunt. She explained what she was doing in the forest, what she needed to prove, what was at stake. Marcus listened with genuine interest and asked thoughtful questions. "That's quite a challenge," Marcus said when she finished. "Surviving alone in this wilderness for 7 days. Your people must be very strong." "We are," Therix said proudly. "We are the greatest hunters in the galaxy." Marcus smiled again. "I don't doubt it. But you know, there's more than one way to be strong. On Earth we have a saying, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is work together." Therix thought about this. It went against everything she had been taught. The first hunt was meant to be completed alone. Working together was forbidden. But as she looked at this strange, weak, furless creature who had somehow survived for days in a forest full of predators, she began to wonder if perhaps her teachers did not know everything. The next morning, Therix made a decision. She would not eat the human. She would help him. And maybe, just maybe, she would learn something important in the process. Over the following days, word spread among the cubs. One by one, they found their way to Marcus and his little camp by the stream. Some came with hostile intent. Some came out of curiosity. All of them left with a strange new feeling in their hearts. Marcus taught them things their instructors had never mentioned. He showed them how to build better shelters. He demonstrated techniques for preserving food. He explained the concept of cooperation, of sharing resources, of building something greater than any individual could achieve alone. He told them stories about human heroes who had won not through strength or speed, but through kindness and wisdom. The cubs listened, they learned, and slowly, they began to change. On the 7th day, Koreth stood at the edge of the great hunting grounds once again. He waited for his students to return. He expected to see them emerge from the forest one by one, each carrying proof of their individual kills, each proud and independent. What he saw instead stopped his ancient heart. All 12 cubs emerged from the forest together. They walked in formation, their movements synchronized, their heads held high. And at the front of their group walked the strangest creature Koreth had ever seen. A tall, thin, furless being that moved on 2 legs and wore artificial coverings over its pale skin. The human was leading his students, and they were following willingly. Koreth felt a growl building in his throat. This was wrong. This was against all tradition. The cubs had failed the most basic requirement of the first hunt. They had worked together. They had allowed themselves to be led by prey. But as the group drew closer, Koreth noticed something else. His students looked different, not physically, but in some deeper way. Their eyes held a new kind of light. Their movements showed a new kind of confidence. They walked not as individual hunters competing against each other, but as a unified pack moving with single purpose. The human stopped in front of Koreth and looked up at the massive elder with no fear whatsoever. It smiled and extended one of its flat, clawless hands. "Hello," the human said. "My name is Marcus. I apologize for disrupting your traditional ceremony. Your students found me lost in the forest and decided to help me. They've been absolutely wonderful. You should be very proud of them." Koreth stared at the extended hand. He did not understand the gesture. Vorn stepped forward. The massive young male who had once prized strength above all else now spoke with thoughtful calm. "Elder Huntmaster, we have failed the first hunt by the old standards. We know this. We accept whatever punishment you decide. But we learned something in that forest that we believe is more valuable than any kill." "And what is that?" Koreth asked coldly. Therix moved to stand beside Vorn. We learned that true strength is not about dominating others. It is about lifting them up. We learned that cooperation can achieve what competition cannot. We learned that the hunt is not just about killing, it is about survival. And the best way to survive is together. The other cubs murmured their agreement. They stood behind Marcus like an honor guard, ready to defend this strange creature who had taught them so much. Korath was silent for a long time. The wind blew across the plains. The sun continued its slow journey across the purple sky. Finally, the elder spoke. In 10,000 years of Vorakan history, no one has ever failed the first hunt in this way. No one has ever brought back prey that walks willingly at the front of the pack. No one has ever suggested that cooperation is superior to competition. He paused. His golden eyes moved from Marcus to his students and back again. This is unprecedented. This is against all tradition. This is... He stopped. His stern expression cracked. Something that might have been a smile played at the corners of his ancient mouth. This is exactly what we needed, Korath finished quietly. For too long, we have defined strength too narrowly. For too long, we have valued the hunt above all else. Perhaps it is time for the Vorakan to learn new lessons. Perhaps this human has something to teach us all. Marcus smiled warmly. I would be honored to share what I know, and I would love to learn about your people as well. There is wisdom in your traditions, too. The key is finding balance. And so it was that the greatest change in Vorakan history began not with a war or a conquest, but with a single human who refused to be afraid. In the years that followed, the Vorakan and humanity would forge an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. The predators learned to see other species not as prey, but as partners. The humans gained powerful allies who could protect them from the dangers of the universe. And 12 young Vorakan who had failed their first hunt by the old standards would grow up to become the leaders of a new era. An era where strength was measured not by kills, but by connections. An era where the pack was not just family, but all of civilization. The hunt had changed, and it had changed for the better. Because sometimes the greatest victory is not defeating your prey, but discovering they were never prey at all.